Welcome to episode 67 of How About the Huskies. I'm Connor. I'm joined today by Andrew. No, Matt. I know I promised you guys, all three of us. Maybe he'll show up, big guest appearance in the middle of it here, but as of right now, it's looking like it'll be just us today. But we had another very fun episode recapping senior day for the Huskies. A really, really fun day for the program. They killed Seton Hall by 30, a revenge game, 91-61. Obviously, we lost in Newark earlier this year by 15. So we beat them by 30. So we're up 15 points on the season. So funny how that works. But this was just an overall domination. I mean, I don't know if I expected it to be close because they did beat us last time. You got to give them the benefit of the doubt there. I didn't expect it to be a 30-point game, but it was. I mean, everyone balled out. Castle was amazing. He had, I think, like three or four dunks, 21 points. Donovan was good. A lot of people had great games. Andrew, what was your thoughts from that one, the whole day as a whole?
Well, it just seemed like a really fun day there in stores. We had four huge players for this program honored. And it was the last probably I never want to be a guy to make assumptions, but I'm sure it was the last game for Donovan and Castle inside of Gamble, which is what the Donovan thing is really insane because I remember the day that I first met him at an LIU versus UConn game back when he was a senior, and now I was remember just telling my dad, I can't wait to see this guy play. And now, bam, 2 years have gone by and he's already done. So that was great too. And then obviously the changing of the collar for the Dogs, but just a dominant win. And it just seemed like another great day in stores. And it was good that we really hammered Seton Hall after they beat us over there at their place in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, you remember that game in Newark? That was when Donovan went down and got injured. The game was not going good, anyways, but we're gonna always use the excuse when we can. So even though we were down by what 15 when he got hurt early second half, we still were without him in that game pretty much. But
Yep.
yeah, he's been really he's improved a lot over the past like month or so. I mean, he's been solid, but he kind of wasn't playing up to the potential a lot of people said that he could. Obviously, a lot of these projections say he should take a massive leap his sophomore year, which he has. He's going to be a lottery pick, which he probably will be. But like, still, the numbers aren't quite where everyone projected them to be. But in his last 7 games, he's averaging 13.3 points, 8.3 rebounds, almost 3 blocks. That's the stuff you expect from him. He hasn't really gotten that all those numbers averaged all year because we have so many good scorers like Spencer and Newton, Caravan we really distribute the wealth well when it comes to scoring points. But against Seton Hall, Klingon 19, 11, I believe his should know second or third double of the year. He had 5 blocks, which tied his career high. He was amazing, only in 23 minutes as well. I remember last time against Seton Hall, their big man, Jaden Bediako, he kind of was a lot better than I thought he'd be. This time around, he had 2 points, 1 of 6 shooting. So Klingon really took him out of the game. And after Klingon, I mentioned Castle, 21 points. He looked really good, 9 of 12 shooting. Didn't make it three. You don't need him to make it three, though, when you win by 30. Tristan Newton, 17 points, 10 assists, just cementing himself, I feel like, further as the Big East player of the year. He may not have the high points per game a guy like Devin Carter has, but when you're doing stuff like that for the team that's outright champions with the week to go, I think it's there's not a lot of debate there, honestly. But he had 17 points from 4 made threes. A weird thing, which is really cool to see, Cam Spencer took 3 shots and we won by 30. I mean, if you were to
Yeah.
tell me that would happen, I don't know what I'd say. He had 5 points, hit a three, hit a nice three in transition, the only one he took all game. And who else we got? Caravan's been struggling a little bit more. We'll talk about him in a few minutes here, but yeah, overall, just a great game, 30-point win. Seton Hall, they came out kind of flat, and we really took it from there. It was never that close.
Yeah, it was just another butt kicking of a team at home. Also, something you didn't even mention, undefeated at home officially and clinching the Big East regular season title. Undefeated at home after losing 2 games at home last year. I'm gonna say two because I mean it was two. The Xavier and the St. John's game. You're losing two we shouldn't have to really destroying every team at home this year. So that was really cool to see. And then obviously the Big East regular season title. Now on what's next is just the tournament and then the national championship again.
Yeah, it's crazy that we hadn't won outright Big East like first place since 1999, which is, if you want to get technical, before we even won a title, because that was the title year, but before we won it. So we won five national championships since our last single first place Big East finish. We've had a few ties. I know 2006 was our last tie. I think Villanova we tied with that year. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy to think that we've been so dominant in the national stage, but in conference we haven't been alone as the one seed. This is the first time this century, but we could talk about a few more points here from this Seton Hall game. I mentioned Alex Caravan. He had his struggles once again. He went 1 of 6 from three. Did score a little more than he has recently, though. He went 5 of 12 overall, 13 points. But in his last four games, he's 4 for 20 from three, which is not really going to cut it. I mean, we haven't really. The only game we lost in that bunch was Creighton, which was also a game that Creighton shot 400 for 20 from three. It felt like, but we've noticed in Caravan, he has his on streaks, he has his off streaks. He's just currently in an off streak. I fully expect him to get out of it, probably even in this next Marquette game and then the Providence game. And then he's gonna get hot. I'd rather him get it out now and struggle against Seton Hall at home as opposed to go into Marquette or Providence and throw up a dud. But I'm not too worried about him. And not much to say about the bench. I mean, Diarra and Sampson, we know what you're getting from them. They always produce in their minutes. Sampson had 7 points, didn't miss a shot. Free throws are a struggle for him, but he's a backup center. I'm not expecting him to be a free throw god per se. And Hassan Diarra, 4 points, 3 assists, 2 steals. Not much more to ask from a guy who probably might end up being the Big East sixth man of the year. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But yeah, not much more to say about this one. It was just a dominant win on senior day, honored all of our seniors. I was going to mention the last point of the season in Gamble Pavilion was an Andrew Hurley made free
Early.
throw. I was worried when he missed the first that he wasn't going to hit the second. Imagine if he missed both. That'd be brutal.
Uh,
It's almost better that he missed the first and made the second because there was so much suspense on that second shot. Like, there's no way he doesn't make this right, but he did. I was low key hoping, and Hurley's not the type of coach to do this. There are plenty of coaches out there that would do this. I was hoping Andrew Hurley would get the start. I mean, imagine, yeah,
I mean, Paulie got the start on his senior day, but walk on is different
it
because like
is.
he's not like a scholarship player. Like, I feel like the no start Diarra kind of means something maybe, but Paulie got to start on his senior day. Um, Obviously with Whaley and all those guys, Martin Cole, that whole damn starting lineup. Now that I think about it, Jesus. But yeah, I don't think he would start Hurley just because he is a walk on. But I mean, at least he played because I remember damn Matt Gary didn't even play on his senior night.
That's right. Yeah. I'm also happy that where am I going with this? I feel like if we had already clinched the Big East regular
Yeah,
season and say like we were guaranteed the one, there's a slight chance, but at the same time, the fact that he didn't even start DR, which I honestly did expect till he just start over Castle, which wouldn't be too big of a difference. But I don't know. It'd be cool to see him start. He didn't, but it is what it is. He got his point. So he's forever etched in Gamble Pavilion history as the last person to score there this season. Not sure if that's in a history book, but it is now. Unless you got anything else, we can kind of move on here from this Seton Hall game. You got anything?
no, it was just a really cool day in general, and I wish I was there yet again.
Yeah, same here. I made the trip up to Nova. I'm not driving an hour plus 2 weeks in a row, but it was definitely a great game to watch. Ian Eagle on the mic at CBS. He's my favorite announcer, so I'm glad to listen to him. He has some great calls, but we can move on. Before we talk about Marquette, I saw an interesting tweet that I kind of want to get your insight on, I guess.
Oh,
I
here we
saw
go.
it's not like that. It's someone said that they're bracing for UConn to sweep the postseason awards for the Big East. And I feel like there's a slight chance that actually might happen. I doubt it. There's a couple I feel like won't, but they have a case. So I feel like we'll start with the easy ones. Hurley's going to win Coach of the
Coach of
Year.
the year.
Yeah. Stephon Castle tied Carmelo Anthony's record for most Freshman of the Week awards. So if he doesn't win the Freshman of the Year award, that'd be quite impressive. So he's
He
pretty much
wins
a
that.
lock for that. Those are the two locks, in my opinion. The next two, I feel like, are almost likely. I feel like if it's not Newton winning Player of the Year, don't know. I mean, maybe Spencer could get it from us or not. If not, a guy like Carter or Kolek or what's his name, Baylor Shireman, Creighton,
I
one of
think it
them.
might be Carter just because of what he's done without Hopkins, honestly. I think it's going to be him.
Yeah, he definitely has the numbers, but I feel like you got to take into account they're what 9-9 in Big East play.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
usually I've noticed that that's how the trend goes in the conference. I remember one year there was a three-way tie for player of the year, all three like top teams. So it's like I feel like winning matters in this award. So I feel like a Husky will end up winning it. Sixth man of the year, like I mentioned, Diarra. I mean, sure, he may not have the numbers some of the other six men in this conference get because he's not really a scorer, but he impacts the game defensively. He can pass. He's low key a solid rebounder. I feel like it should be Diarra. And now these last two, I don't think will happen, but defensive player of the year, Donovan Clingan. I mean, he's really improved recently, blocking shots. He had five last game. What I say, he's averaging almost three in his last seven. But I feel like he's been out, and even then, I don't know if he gets it over a guy like Kalkbrenner who's gotten it 2 years in a row. That's kind of like they kind of made that trophy in October when it was announced he was preseason defensive player of the year. As long as he stayed healthy, I don't think he'll lose it. Another guy, Stevie Mitchell with Marquette. If you want to look at a guard, he's been amazing. He's their best defender for the Golden Eagles. Maybe even a Devin Carter here because he gets his steals. He's very active, but I think it's a stretch to say Klingon wins Defensive Player of the Year. But what do you think about that? I think it's a stretch.
That's going to be a rough one. Yeah, I wouldn't say we sweep the awards. At best, I think we get three, honestly. I think there's two for a lock, and then um, I don't know. I still think that Carter is going to win Player of the Year.
Yeah, I guess I'm
I
wish
I get the record thing, but at the same time, you got to look at that he's done this without Hopkins.
That's very true. I guess that's me wishful thinking, but the last award, which is really a toss up for everyone, is most improved player. It's weird. 'Cause I was looking through like the stats before we hopped on. Everyone is either new to the conference, which you can't really get a most improved player if it's your first year in the Big East. Everyone's either new to the conference or hasn't improved too much. So I was thinking low key Donovan Clingan here. I mean, we all expected the jump, but since he actually made it, he went from what 7-5 to what 12-7, which isn't crazy. But
Yeah,
looking at his competitors, I mean, Dre Davis with Seton Hall, he's up from like 8 points per game to 14, but that's just with higher volume of minutes. I guess that's the same thing with Plugin, but he's up to over 6 points per game. Jaden Pierre at Providence really didn't play at all last year. He's the starting point guard now. He's averaging 8 points per game. So I mean, those are really the competitors. I don't. That's a weird award. We don't really talk too much about it. I forgot it was a thing until I saw it earlier today. But maybe Donovan squeaks out a most improved player. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I feel like there is a realistic path for us to sweep the awards, but it's not going to happen because it's really hard to do, and there are some awards where there are much better candidates.
yeah, I would agree with that.
We can move on to Marquette now. A Marquette team that is playing without one of their stars on Wednesday. Tyler Kolek is out. He has an oblique injury. He missed their game on Saturday against Creighton in Omaha. Marquette and did not go into Omaha and win without their best player. They lost by, I want to say 15 or so. It was a close game, but Creighton just ran away with it. Marquette was gassed. Oso Ighodaro didn't play in that game either. They're, I guess, second or
Wow.
third best player, depending on how
Yeah.
you look at it. He had an illness. I assume that'll subside for our game on Wednesday. So we expect him to be in there. But you got Cam Jones, who had played 40 minutes and scored 21 points against Creighton. You had David Joplin, scored 21 points in 37 minutes. Stevie Mitchell, 32 minutes, 15 points, and Ben Gold played 37 minutes against Kalkbrenners, really the only big. So they had a lot of tired legs against Creighton, but they were competitive, and it'll be interesting to see how this game goes on Wednesday. How do you think it's going to go, honestly, especially knowing this Kolek news?
Well, it's at home, so I think it'll be pretty competitive, but I think they're going to run out of gas again because not having Kolek, their driving force out there is going to be tough. And then we're looking to win every game no matter what. So I think we'll beat them. I think it kind of sucks that Kolek's not playing, honestly, because this was one of the most looked at games in the season. But I'm going to bring this back to our point when we were looking at the schedule. It just sucks that we're playing Marquette this late. because if this was a January game or even early February, like it would have been more like a more looked at game. But now that we've already clinched and Kolek is hurt, a really huge game is just not going to be looked at the same. So it honestly really kind of sucks that Kolek's hurt.
Yeah, he actually wasn't much of a factor in that first game, if you remember, but he only had
Yeah.
7 points, 3 assists in 35 minutes, 2 of 11 from the field. I believe that was Castle who locked him up most of the time, and Diarra, who had a great game against Marquette. But yeah, it's certainly so. You want team as much as you don't want to say it, you want teams at full strength when you play them. I mean, as fortunate as it is for us, it gives us a better chance to win. At the same time, I'd rather have the satisfaction of going into Marquette and beating them with their reigning defensive player of the year or player of the year. He did not win defensive player of the year. That'd be impressive. But without the reigning player of the year, Tyler Kolek, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we have a much better chance now. I feel like honestly, with the way we've been playing, especially the way we played them the first time, it wouldn't surprise me if we come out with a win. I know last year we didn't win there. That was before we knew they were as good as they were because they were what just sneaking into the polls at that time. They were picked ninth in the Big East last year. They really just on the come up. So we that kind of caught us off guard, I feel like. But years past, remember the Tyler Poly game? We always seem to find a way to win out there. So I feel like, especially with no Kolek in this one, we should have a pretty solid chance, especially if we play them like we did last time. I mean, spread the wealth. Diarra had 14 points, which was his UConn career high. Spencer, 14 points. Newton, 15. Klingon had 17 and 10. This was another one that Carabin kind of struggled in. He only had 7 points, 1 of 6 from three. Castle didn't do much scoring, but his presence is on defense. I just feel like if we do use a similar formula to the game we did on February 17th, along with Kolek being out, I'm really confident we pull this one out. Honestly, low key a little more confident in this one than our last game against Providence, just because everyone knows it's tough to win at Providence. It's a local rivalry. The Amp, they're what 55-5 or something along those lines in their last 60. Maybe it's 50-5, something like that. But yeah, all in all, I'm a little more confident in this one than the last one.
Yeah, me too, honestly. Playing at the Amp is tough no matter what. It's just one of those places that's really going to be tough. It's like Allen Fieldhouse and even Gamble and XL this year was just really tough to play at. It usually always is too, but yeah, it is tough to play at, but I couldn't believe when they put that they I saw some graphic that said that the Amp was in the top five of hardest places to play at, which I don't believe is true. But either way, it's kind of sucks having our last game there, but it is what it is. I still am definitely more confident in this one than the last one as well.
So I think we're ready to give some players to watch for this one. Not much more else to say for a preview. I mean, I guess maybe some keys to the game, and then we can go to players to watch. I feel like you got to limit Cam Jones. He's a guy who he played the entire game and he scored 23 points. I misspoke earlier. He scored 23 points against Prey, and he's a guy that can light it up from three. So if you let him get going early, which we've seen him do in the past against us, it might be bad. So limiting him, I feel like with no Kolek, this is now Castle's assignment, kind of moving down the totem pole, if
Yeah.
you will. But also, you got to get Cam Spencer more than 3 shots like he had versus Seton Hall. I mean, credit them for guarding him and not allowing him to get looks, and I guess also credit Cam for not forcing bad looks because they were guarding him well. But feel like you got to guard Cam Jones well, and you need Cam Spencer to be more of an impact.
Yeah, I would
Um,
agree with that. I mean, it's very simple without Kolek, but at the same time, maybe try to take advantage of Kolek not being in and get Newton going.
yeah, what did he do last game? He had 15, 8, and 8. So if he does something like that, which is very close to his average, which is crazy. I was looking because the Bob Cousy top five point guard list came out. It's Newton, Jamal Shedd of Houston, Mark Sears of Alabama, Braden Smith of Purdue, and Kolek. I feel like Newton has a really strong chance of winning that award. I feel like it comes down to him and Shed, honestly. But I mean, you have a point guard on the now number two team in the country. I guess he's competing with the point guard on the number one team in the country, Houston. But you have a guy who's averaging 15.3 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 6 assists. I mean,
Yeah.
that's video game numbers. You don't see guys in college averaging 6 assists and 7 rebounds and averaging 15 points. I mean, that's not normal. I feel like I didn't expect this going into the year, but I would be upset if Tristan Newton isn't the Bob Cousy Award winner, our first since Shabazz Napier, and Kemba was before him. So yeah, I didn't certainly didn't expect to be saying that sentence at the beginning of the year, knowing Newton and how inconsistent he could be. He still is a little inconsistent, not gonna lie, but I feel like he should win the Bob Cousy Award, which is crazy. I think we can move to our players to watch. You want to give one first?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with what I said. I'm gonna stick with Newton, honestly, because I feel like having Kolek in is a big um boost of confidence for him, even though I we all know that I think he's pretty overrated and I'm not the biggest fan of him. But I still think that him not playing is pretty big. And I think this is gonna be Newton's last big game of the Big East regular season. I'm obviously not hoping that he doesn't do anything against Providence, but I mean with Devin Carter on him, it just doesn't seem likely. So I think this will be his last big game this season. In conference play, that is.
I'm gonna go Alex Caravan, I think, for the reasons we talked about. He's been in a funk. He's due to get out of that funk. I think he does in this one because I mean, for us, I feel like we have two or three guys go off every game and one or two kind of struggle because we have so many scoring options. We have someone averaging 15, 14, 13, 12, and 11, which is something that probably isn't replicated in the country, honestly. But so I feel like maybe his turn is over for being the guy who struggles. Maybe it's a guy, and I hate doing this. Maybe Castle, it's his turn. He had 21 last game. He'll have 5 this game. But Caravan will have 22. I don't know. It's just that's kind of how it seems like it goes. I feel like we're due for a Caravan. I'll say 15 plus point game with three threes, something along those lines. If he does that, I feel like we're in really good shape to pull this one out. Should be a fun one either way, though. Marquette's number 8. We're number 2. And this is an interesting fact that I saw on Twitter. I don't know if you may have seen this, but we haven't won a top 10 road game since
I did
2009.
see this.
We
Yeah,
did see
I did
this.
see that. Yeah.
That game was when we were number 2 and Marquette was number 8. And now
Yeah.
the exact situation 15 years later. I don't know if that's a sign, but seems like a sign to me. But it should be a great game. I, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we'll pull it out. We could not. We could lose both of these final 2 games, honestly. Road games are tough in this conference. We lost 2 of them already to the 3rd and 4th seed in the conference. So anything can happen. But all in all, it should be an exciting game. I believe it's an 8:30 tip. If I think it's the second
Yep.
game on
8-1.
Wednesday. It's going to be a late one. That's usually really 8:40 for TV, so it's not going to be done till like 11. But yeah, it's going to be a fun game. If win or lose, we're going to recap it for you guys. I know we've been kind of inconsistent. It's March. We got to get back on it. So we're going to be back on the episode train. We're gonna hopefully continue doing 2 a week. We're gonna have a Big East preview coming out
Yep.
this weekend. Big East tournament preview, I should say, not the Big East preview. That was in September. But it seems like we're gonna be playing either Xavier or Butler in that opening game, barring something crazy happening, as in St. John's losing to Georgetown and DePaul. But all in all, we're going to be a lot more consistent with our episodes. So look forward to that. It's going to be another great March. We've never lost a tournament, NCAA tournament, doing this podcast. Don't plan to this year. And that's all we got. Thanks for watching.